I congratulate the family on the courage to stand on the funeral of the son, the brother, and say publicly, my brother, our son, had a severe problem with addiction. And most of the time, addiction, AIDS are hidden, are scars that we hide and we keep them for ourselves, and they become very painful. And when the deacon told me Sean is going to speak about my son's addiction, that's the beginning of the healing. And I asked my deacon and my brother, Magdi, said, what do you want me to say about Jason? And those are the words of his father, his mother, his brothers. If by declaring today to the community that our son had a problem with addiction and we can save one soul, then the life of Sean, of Jason, has not been done away. Many people have struggled with addiction. And addiction, as the point that Sean read beautifully, is very painful. Very painful on the two ends. Very painful on the addicted, the addict, and very painful on the family. And everything that Sean said about his brother, I have known Jason for many years. From the moment that the family, his father and mother, shared with me their pain. And we walked the narrow road together, and if one thing I can tell you today, I admire you, my deacon. I admire you, Andrea. I admire you, Sean, and you, James. They have done everything in their capacity to help him. They give him everything, and I am witness. You can take the horse to the river, but you cannot force the horse to drink from the river. Indeed, Jason had a very special love in my heart, and I can only say I'm sad because he really struggled, and he meant every single word in the moment that he didn't want to deal with addiction, he wanted to give up. There was no doubt about it. For the moment, I believed him. When the moment is over, the demons of addiction control his mind. And he struggled. He struggled. The kindest human being, I can only tell you. And I remember one night we had dinner in a restaurant that he was serving after he had gone through some really difficulties. And we went with Carmen and Gazi to one of the restaurants by the beach here in Boca Raton del Rey, and he was serving there, and he was the kindest human being, and I was very happy to see him resuming his life and trying. If one thing in his favor I can say, he always tried. But the demons were stronger than him. He was the kindest human being you can ever imagine. He had a heart of gold. And I love him to this precise moment. And I know that the overdose really not only put an end to him, but put an end to his agony. Because he always loved to overcome. I love him very much. And the pain of a family having a son with mental illness or addiction is very painful. And for many years, his father and mother, his mother got cancer, his father had open heart surgery. Of all the stress and keeping and hiding their pain. And nobody understood what they were going through, and people were judging only the external. And I was the only one that knew the internals and the inside and the confidentiality, and I couldn't say it. And today I applaud you. The true love love is the acceptance of all that is, all that has been, all that will be, and all that will not be. When the deacon called me on Thursday, I couldn't believe it. And there was part in me said, I am happy for Jason. I'm happy for Jason. Because in reality, he was struggling. And if we have compassion, we will not judge him. If anyone doesn't know what addiction is all about, you cannot make any judgment. It's very painful. I work with addiction. I work with bipolar. I work with mental illness. And having a son and a daughter or member of the family that has mental illness or addiction, as I said, extremely painful. And more painful that they are hiding and cannot say it. And today they said it not to justify Jason's actions, but to bring an awareness. If his death and the overdose and the addiction can serve, his life has a meaning. And I know that you can preach, you can say whatever, but my heart goes always to those who are struggling with the demons that take over their mind and their life and the life of the family. Today my brother Deacon Mandy, Andrea, Jason and Sean, we pray not that his soul really to be with the Lord. He knows his actions. He knows God understands the motives and the actions. We humans will judge. We humans will say why he couldn't really stop consuming. We can say whatever we want to say. And if you don't have compassion, that means you don't understand the nature of addiction. I ask you to pray for the family. I ask you to pray for all the family that have a son or a daughter, husband or wife, that are dealing with addiction. That's why I had the vision 7 years ago to have in my community at St. Jude an AA meeting to help those who are struggling with addiction to find meaning and help others to find meaning. The scars that you, my deacon, you, Andrea, and the family have been carrying with you all over those years, today you are turning them to be stars, encouraging really anyone to stand and help and not to be insensitive, not to judge the addicts, but to try to find meaning and pray for the family. It's a very painful to have a child or a beloved that struggles with illness and this type of illness. Today, as I see Jason, I still see the joy that he always had, that he always will be. And now I can say, for the first time in the 32 years of life, for 20 years, from the age of 12 to the age of 32, 20 years, he was struggling. Never saw him a moment that really I can say he was joyful until only today. I see him, he is resting. And he will be resting. I know it's very painful. And I admire you, my deacon, I admire you, Andrea, that you didn't want to spoil the celebration yesterday, but you don't spoil the celebration. We are celebrating. As James said when I came in, he said we should have been celebrating his wedding. Indeed, we are celebrating his wedding, but not with a woman, with the Lord. Amen.